The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Yo, who should buy the Vancouver Canucks? Pamela Anderson or Seth Rogen? Like Trevor, who should do it, Trevor?
I think that's the dream team right there, man. There we go.
Okay, I like it.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, the sun is shining and you're tuning in here to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into it, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. And we're not here without you and you tuning in. And we're also not here without those sponsors, baby. And today's episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Man, oh man, it seems like one of the darkest periods in Canucks history right now. But in the darkness, you can always find the light. And today that light is bye-bye Aqua. Hello, John Cooper.
What?
Things happening here in Vancouver. So let's touch on it to kick off this episode of Locked On Canucks. John Cooper and the Tampa Bay Lightning officially eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs, making me look stupid. They were my pick to go to the Stanley Cup finals. Although, Kyle, I did say that I thought the winner of this series would go on to the Stanley Cup finals. But maybe I should have been cheering against Tampa Bay because John Cooper, some rumblings that perhaps his 13-year run in Tampa Bay is coming to an end. Could the Prince George native come to BC? Let's get into that. But first and foremost, my brother Kyle, how you doing today, bud?
That's crazy, man. 13 years, dude. I didn't know that. That's crazy. That's like Mission Impossible in the world of sport. Hey, speaking of Mission Impossible, let's get to the comments because Trevor, you may be involved in buying the Vancouver Canucks. Okay, we mentioned Pamela Anderson. We mentioned Seth Rogen. I know we got to talk about John Cooper potentially, being the coach of the Canucks. But come on, the ownership stuff is crazy. Again, Kiprusoff talking his ish, saying, did I say Kiprusoff? Did I say Mika Kiprusoff? My bad. Kiprio's talking about how, there's some rumblings. Maybe the Aquilinis are not so happy on their investment and they want to dip. Satir Shah right away saying there's a kind of like no truth to that. All in all, though, where there's smoke, there's fire. We want celebrities buying the Canucks. And Dan Jardine saying, in reality, we would need a few dozen celebrities because none of the ones you above mentioned have more than $100 million in their bank account. Okay, so that's why we got Trevor Beggs here, the financial advisor. If you're watching this and you want to buy the Vancouver Canucks and you want to turn your $100 million into $3.6 billion, message Trevor Beggs.
There we go, man. Hey, got to use my connections in the financial advisory world to find people to buy the Vancouver Canucks. And look, from the report from Nick Kypreos, I got to put the caveat that I do feel like Nick Kypreos, he's thrown out a few things over the years, and I think he's more often wrong than right. But this is one that you want to believe, okay?
Yeah.
And from everything we know about the Aquilini family, of course, Francesco, the oldest brother, running the show. The younger brothers really haven't been as actively involved with running the Vancouver Canucks. But really, just like the whole Aquilini business, Luigi Aquilini has been the overlord. But again, he's been around this for a long time. And if it doesn't look like the Canucks are going to win a Stanley Cup anytime soon, then perhaps there is a path here for the Aquilinis to sell the Canucks. Look, they have made their money in this team, right? They bought this team for $250 million. It's worth over $2 billion.
Oh, my God.
So look, the Aquilinis could cash in right now. And dear God, sell it to somebody else who will not micromanage, who loves the city, who loves the province, and who wants to see this team win. So I know we came into this wanting to talk about John Cooper, but I know the Nick Kypreos report, it has me thinking about better days ahead for the Vancouver Canucks because, of course, the Aquilins, when they first came here, hired the right guy, Mike Gillis, invested in the team, but over the years they've micromanaged, especially through the Jim Benning era, and it's been a detriment to the city and this fan base.
Oh, 100%. I feel as if I heard this on Sakaris and Price, and they kind of nailed it on the head, and they were assuming or alluding to the fact that maybe Aquilini thought he became a genius because the Canucks were so good within like the first 5 years of his ownership, right? And that type of swagger and that false narrative that he again bought into has led him through, what's happened over the last 15 years. And I keep saying it, like Aquilini's, you know the deal. This guy's not watching 100 hockey games a year. Honestly, he's not. I don't think so. I don't think he's watching not more than 82. And if that's not the case, you can't be mingling with this team. You can't be moving these pieces around because you're not an expert. You're just a businessman, okay? And I'm so sick and tired of this energy too, right? Like, oh, this is the business first. This is the business first. Yo, this team hasn't won a Stanley Cup once. They haven't won a Stanley Cup once. Florida is a more valuable franchise than the Vancouver Canucks, a historic franchise, a legacy franchise, way more so than the Vancouver Canucks. Already, that's embarrassing. The Canucks are embarrassing. Maybe they should just, find somebody who's about the team first, about the city first. Because I keep saying it, you're not just buying the Canucks, you're buying Vancouver or the Vancouver Canucks. It's bigger than business. Best teams win hockey games. And the best teams make the best business. Okay, for real. Let's just end it on that kind of, sort of, not really. Again, give me your list of 5 celebrities that you would want buying the Canucks, okay? Because the Canucks do also need a little makeover with their PR and the relationship with the fans. I said Seth Rogen off the top. Pamela Anderson, she dropped an autobiography years ago. I think she has a show on Netflix too. Is Pamela Anderson top 2 most important person to come out of BC? I didn't say it. Trevor, I don't know if your wife listens to the pod, but I think you said it to me last week when we were at that bar, Electric Bicycle. Okay, come on, man. It was a blurry night. All in all, though, who you want buying the Canucks?
Well, I actually think Seth Rogen would be just the perfect guy to be in charge, man. A guy he's laid back. He's going to use his money to find the right people. I think that's a good one too. And how about someone who, I think of someone like a winemaker. Like I'm looking at celebrities, right? Like one guy I didn't even know was a BC celebrity. Did you know that Hayden Christensen, aka Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader, is from Vancouver? I did not know this, man.
Okay. So you want Darth Vader after Francesco Aquilini bought the team. You want Darth Vader now to buy the team. Trevor, you are in such a dark place in your life.
This team than it is to have Francesco Aquilini running the team.
Unreal, dude. Sorry for some of the lag and the disconnect.
No, I actually think I thought of this one too from Dan Jardy in the comments. Brian Adams, he's a pretty rich guy. Let's get him in there as well. But even looking at the wealthiest people in BC, like who's realistically from BC who could actually run the Canucks? I do think about the Ghilardi family. I know they are still one of the richest people in BC. But there's the Van Mundell family, if I have that right. Von Mandel family, who is, they own like Mike's Hard Lemonade, seltzer brand. They're winemakers. Their family net worth is around 7.5 billion as of 2024. So let's just get some winemakers in here. Let's get Seth Rogen, one of the best stoners in the world, in here, man. Let's go, man. Let's get some. We need some good vibes here in Vancouver. And the Aquilinis have been nothing but bad vibes for the past 10 years plus.
How about the owners of Cactus Club? Can they buy the Vancouver Canucks? Okay, y'all got. Hey, I'm sure they do good for themselves. Again, just I know they're probably not billionaires yet, but take your money, go to Trevor Beggs. Okay, free plug. All right, financial advisor over here. Take your money, go to Beggsy, and become a billionaire. Okay, join Beggsy's Billionaire Club, or Beggsy's Billionaire Buddies. Okay, $10 a month. Discord link in bio. Boom, bam. The rest is history. Now you're the owner of the Vancouver Canucks. I'm also hearing a lot of people that want Jim Pattison to potentially maybe buy the team as well. Does Jim Pattison own White Spot? Is that like, I don't even know if that's true, but I feel like he might. How about the guy who owns Lululemon? Is he a good guy? I don't even know any of these guys.
No, he's not a great guy. He said some.
He's not a great guy. Okay, sorry.
He's said some pretty insensitive things in the past.
How about the person who owns Cliff Bars? Is the person who invented Cliff Bars from BC? It looks like a BC thing. Cliff Bars? No. Okay,
tell you, man.
It's not a $1 billion industry. Cliff Bars are not making $1 billion a year. I don't know who else, man. Like, Michael Bublé. People are saying Michael Bublé. I don't know about that. Honestly, you can make the. I'm sorry, Michael Bublé. I like Bubblies, and I like that one song you have, right? Just haven't met you yet. Oh, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I hear Michael Bublé 3 times a day during Christmas season. My wife plays that Christmas album every day.
Yeah. Anyways, this guy, you could, I don't know, the 30 for 30 documentary hasn't come out yet, but you can make the argument that something happened in 2024 in that All-Star game when Bublé was hanging out with the 6 Canucks All-Stars. The team was kind of sort of never the same since. Okay. So do you want Bublé in? I don't know. Hey, Bublé, just tell us the truth and then we can move on. On all though, the Canucks are not actually for sale, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And before we get to break and we talk about John Cooper, remember that other podcast? I think they're called Goat Radio, and I was talking mad shit about them. I was going in because I feel as if they were the first outlet to bring up the whole JT Miller potentially wanting out of town or is going to get traded thing, and I was mad because I think it was them. Then it was like Paul Bissonnette, right? And I'm like, yo, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Making stuff up. This is dark. This is twisted. Miller just got benched. It's all good. He can take a benching. And boom, bam, you guys are starting trade rumors. And what happened? Miller got traded. These guys in January, they talked about how they're hearing that Aquilini might sell the team. Allegedly. Do we have to say allegedly because we're talking about the Aquilinis? I don't know. I got to talk to Bondi. All in all, though, in January, they said that, right? And then today comes out, and I think they retweeted the article or the tweet as well. And like, who knows? Goat Radio, what does that stand for? Greatest observers of all time. Maybe they know something, okay?
Yeah, that was interesting reports. And hey, like I said, we all want to believe that the Aquilini report is true. I imagine if you took a poll of Canucks fans, I would like to find a Canucks fan who thinks like, yeah, Aquilini's done a nice job here over the past number of years. I think all Canucks fans are desperate for a change. We've seen that the management get turned over, the coaches get turned over, the roster is getting turned over, and nothing seems to be changing. It does go back to ownership. This again, we got one of the most rabid, intelligent fan bases in the NHL. They deserve good ownership. We deserve a good hockey team. So hit us up in the comments with your choices for owners of the Vancouver Canucks. I try to throw some realistic options and then a combination of Seth Rogen, winemakers, and Darth Vader as well. Again, we'll bring out better days in the Vancouver Canucks. Okay, we spent a lot of time touching on the Aqua report about him potentially selling the team via Nick Kyprios. But on the other side, we want to get to what we were originally planning to kick off, and that was John Cooper. Could he be the next coach of the Vancouver Canucks? Let's touch on that on the other side. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. We'll be back after shouting at our friends over at Monarch Money. Are you like me? Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where the hell did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, baby, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, it isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. That sounds Star Wars-esque, doesn't it? Hayden, come home, baby. You can track all your accounts and investments and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth. Now, Monarch Money, they don't just help you take control of your finances. They improve your love life, baby, because managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever. More smooth than that segue right there. You can track your shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So you know what that means. Less stress with the money, more lovemaking in the bedroom. Boom, bam, Monarch Money, doing it all. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off of your first year, baby.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. If you're new here, subscribe. If you like banter about the Canucks, courtesy of Begsy and Bowen, the banter buddies. Trevor, you and I are just buddies, okay? I honestly wish we were finance bros together, though. And I had the ability to take our friendship to the next level because I wish we could buy the Vancouver Canucks. We've been doing this for a long time. I feel as if we thought we would make internet money 7 years ago, and boom, bam, if you're a financial advisor, you do the math. Like we should have, we disappointed the fan base and our families. Okay. We should have already been billionaires and be put in position to buy the team. All in all though, trust the process. And right now, the process may start with John Cooper in this delusional world of mine. What are the chances John Cooper potentially to the Canucks, Aquilini potentially maybe selling the team? I don't know. Just there's a 1% chance of all those things happening, but I'm holding on to it because we have a 0% chance of winning the Stanley Cup next year. But again, a 1% chance of that. I need that hope, buddy.
Yeah, and I think Dan Jardine kind of sums it up in the comments here pretty succinctly about John Cooper. He says, John Cooper's a great coach, but the odds of us signing him are long. Still, there's a sliver of hope. And that sliver of hope kicked off last night with the Florida Panthers beating the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games. That makes 3 straight years that the Tampa Bay Lightning have bottomed out in the first round of the NHL playoffs. And now John Cooper, we all know, Prince George native, has coached the Tampa Bay Lightning for 13 seasons. He's won 2 Stanley Cups with them. He's been to another Stanley Cup final. He just coached Canada to the championship at the World, what do we even call it again? The Four Nations Tournament. So obviously it's a long coaching record. Again, he's made the playoffs in 11 of 13 seasons in Tampa Bay. It's been a hell of a run for John Cooper, both in terms of a motivator. I mean, the guy's just a lifelong coach, right? He was never big in hockey. He was, I think he played lacrosse in university, a bit of hockey, and then went on to coaching after being in law for 5 years in the late 90s with high school hockey teams, worked his way up to the minors. So the guy's been there. He's done it all. He is a lifelong coach. He can call his own shot, whether he wants to leave Tampa Bay. I don't foresee a world where John Cooper's getting let go. Maybe they do the mutually parted ways thing in Tampa Bay, but I think Cooper calls his own shot. Does he want to be in Tampa Bay and go through the challenge of trying to get that team back to the Stanley Cup final, or does he seek something else out? And of course, one of the big reports today, and the reason we're talking about this, isn't just the reason that John Cooper and the Tampa Bay Lightning got eliminated. It was Larry Brooks, John Tortorella's best friend from the New York Post, reporting that John Cooper may be interested in going to the Utah Hockey Club. Apparently, he's friends with
Mammoth. Trevor, have some respect, okay? They unveiled their team name. They call them Mammoth now. Have some respect, Trevor. Trust me. Deepak Roberts, their third, told us this. There's a long lineage of NHL history in Utah, and just call them by what they want to be called, Trevor. It's 2025, and that's the way we do things, okay?
Okay. On a side note, has it officially been announced? Because apparently a YouTube page posted this, and then everything got removed. So they're actually the Mammoth now, right?
It's the thing. It's official. Trevor, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm so proud of the fact that you don't use your smartphone at all and you don't use social media. But then sometimes I'm like, yo, can you get up to, you're still in 1998 sometimes, bro. Like, come on, man. Unreal, bro.
Yeah, I'm definitely a day behind on everything for sure. I still,
the Atlanta Thrashers are not playing anymore, right? The Atlanta Thrashers are not playing tomorrow. You're not playing tomorrow, right? It's not them against St. Louis, like it's the Winnipeg Jets. Do we know that, Trevor?
Dude, I thought they were still in the league. I was actually going through some research of potential coaches, Rutherford's homies. Maybe we'll touch on that in the third segment. Todd Reeder's name up. I saw that he played for the Atlanta Thrashers. I was like, oh, what are they doing right now? And then they realized they haven't been in the NHL for 15 years. So I am pretty slow to the game. But going back to John Cooper here, look, I think it is the dream scenario that he comes to Vancouver. I think this is how the Canucks, it would be a massive PR win, right? Like there's no one in the fan base that's going to criticize this. I mean, a BC boy coming home to the challenge of being in Canada, to the challenge of pulling this franchise from the dredges of disparity, coming back to Vancouver or coming to Vancouver and helping this team climb out of the gutters. It'll be a hell of a story. I was digging into a bit more of John Cooper and his background, and one thing that kind of killed my hope a little bit, the fact that, so his parents, his dad's from Prince George, his mom's actually from San Francisco, so he holds dual citizenship. But apparently his dad, even though he's from Prince George, grew up cheering for the Maple Leafs. So they were a Maple Leafs household growing up, which kind of hurt my heart a little bit. Not to say that he doesn't want to come to Vancouver because he's some diehard Maple Leafs fan, but it's not like he grew up loving the Canucks, apparently. So that's another wrinkle to the equation here too. But it'd be an interesting challenge for Cooper, but I think even bigger challenge for Albion and Rutherford to actually get him out of Tampa Bay and bring him here to the Canucks.
Yeah. It'd be, again, mission impossible, but I feel as if the last 12 months have been so impossible based on like the other side of the spectrum, like the hell side of the spectrum. Like, oh my God, disaster. Oh my God, thing after thing after thing is going against us. Like everything has happened to us that nobody could have predicted. I told the homie this, like, I feel as if you had a season in an NHL video game, it would be hard to pull off what the Canucks did when it comes to like all the moves they made in a 12-month span. It's just like so crazy. Yet that all happened. So one may look at that and look at just the gloom part of it. But again, Deepak Chopra reader right here. Polarity, baby. Polarity. If one thing can happen, the other thing can happen too. And what if the miracle is right there? Aquilini leaves and sells the team to the owner of Cactus Club, and John Cooper comes to the Canucks, right? And Trevor, like, to be a little, I don't know, more analytical about it, like, I feel as if John Cooper might stay in Tampa to ride out that contract and stay loyal and just like, like, oh, does he have it in him to lead Braden Point, Victor Hedman, Nikita Kucherov, Vasilevsky to another cup next year? Like, yeah, he does. Like, he still has a contract there for a year, and then he'll make his decision. I'm pretty sure he's going to do that. He seems like that type of guy. And if that's the case, like, the Canucks should go higher, like Emmanuel Malhotra or like a cheap coach or whatever. I know it's crazy for me to say that because we still have Quinn Hughes on the team, but have themselves put in a position where if John Cooper is available next summer, you make that move.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. Now, I again, we're bordering on the line of reality here for sure. But I do want to make this point before we cut to break, right? I think John Cooper, we'd love to have him here. Likelihood is low, but he would be the dream hire. And yeah, if he shakes loose, the Canucks are absolutely going to be in that mix. I don't think that's a bold take. But let me phrase it this way before we get to break. Could Manny Malhotra be the next John Cooper?
Next John Cooper.
I'm saying this because, even when I was digging into the research about John Cooper, after, a long career of coaching at different levels, working his way up the ranks, when he got to the AHL, one of the big hallmarks of his time there was that he had his team on a 28-game winning streak at one point. Now, what do we see Manny Malhotra do in the AHL this year? It wasn't 28 games, but he had a depleted Abbotsford Canucks roster rip off a 13-game winning streak. And it wasn't just hot goaltending. It was the team stepping the F up in the absence of about half a dozen of their top players. Now, Manny Malhotra, I know Elliot Friedman talked about this too, how, one thing he mentioned to Canucks management before coming on board was, are the players going to be okay with me being blunt in their assessments? And, maybe the Canucks need a guy like that. I mean, Rick Tocchet, was he blunt? We kind of think he was, that mix between players, coach, and being a hard ass. Manny Malhotra could be in that same mold. But again, I think about Manny Malhotra, the ascension that he's had this season with the Abbotsford Canucks, obviously a much different path from John Cooper. But I think similar in the sense that they know how to motivate, they know how to coach, they know how to be blunt in their assessments. Maybe Manny Malhotra is the next John Cooper. And again, we've seen it time and time again in the NHL recently. Guys don't necessarily have to have head coaching experience to have a lot of success in the NHL. And John Cooper is another example of that.
If the Canucks get Cooper, they'll get the biggest Coop around. What? Okay, I was trying to do something there. Okay, Trevor, what I actually want to do on the other side, quickly? I want to talk to you about what makes a good leader, what makes a good coach. Okay, can we get philosophical and not just read names? Because you're telling me all these things, and like John Cooper didn't play hockey, and again, then he went to climbed up the ranks, 28-game winning streak with who would be Tampa Bay's affiliate, like Nordfolk or whatever the name is. Yeah, it's just who is this guy, and what makes him work, and who can be that guy that's not John Cooper? And you brought up Manny Malhotra, and it's that to me seems like mission impossible, but then I look back at 2011, I'm like, Manny Malhotra was the perfect leader. He's got that on him. He's got something in him. Yeah.
All right, let's touch on that on the other side. Maybe we'll table the Rutherford Homies segment for another day. But we will be back on the other side here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day, after we shout out our friends over at Amazon Fire Stick TV 4K, something like that. Let's go. Man, oh man, speaking of me being old, Kyle, not using my smartphone, reading the newspaper, this blew my mind when I learned about it. But did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? What? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to rock and roll. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25, NHL 25, or Call of Duty. It's as easy to stream your games as it is your favorite shows. And man, oh man, I'm just learning what this 4K thing is. Okay, again, behind on the times, but my TV is 10 years old. I think it's all right, but I was at a friend's house, man, and I saw the 4K, man. And I was inside the TV, man. So it's time to, if you got that 4K TV, get that Fire Stick 4K as well.
Okay.
And boom, bam. You're not going to be doing anything but playing games and watching Locked On Canucks on the Fire TV, baby. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire Stick 4K second gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube third gen. Oh my God, let's go, baby.
Okay, we back on Locked On Canucks, and if that's the case, then we got to get right back to the comments again here on what's the show called again? Locked On Canucks. Look at this comment from NGK, and I always say this, man. The people who watch the show, they bleed blue and green more than anyone. Okay, so much so that if they're having dinner beside an NHL player, a Canuck player, they're so cool and real and blue and green. They can strike up a conversation. It's not awkward, okay? And look at this comment from NGK, one of our biggest insiders. If you're new to the show, hit the like button, subscribe, and meet NGK, okay? The official insider of Locked On Canucks as of today. Okay? He said he sat next to Sherwood at dinner, and he mentioned to his girlfriend, oh, these guys are eavesdropping. Oh, okay.
Woo.
Anyway, Sherwood mentioned to his girlfriend that Tocchet is too soft on his guys, okay? It was a Sunday after they got cooked by John Cooper's Tampa Bay Lightning. Point is, Tocchet wasn't blunt enough. And am I going to run with this? Of course. Is that professional? Dude, this is not a professional media environment. This is two fans talking about the Vancouver Canucks, okay? So shut the puck up and get out of here if you want something more professional. But I'm going to run with this only because, Trevor, how many times did I say it last year? I said it last year, not even this year. I said, yo, this team needs Rick Tocchet to stop waiting for the players to fix these issues. Like, stop waiting for Pettersson to fix this issue or like JT Miller to fix these issues, because like those guys, to me, they're not like the perfect leaders, right? It's like Quinn Hughes, Thatcher Demko, and there's such a far gap between like who you want your leaders to be on a championship team, because they got to have their ish together. I don't want to say all leaders have to be stoic, but they gotta be even keel, and those guys aren't it. And Rick Tocchet kept saying like, oh, I want to go to the players. The players have to fix the team. I want the players to fix it. Kids these days, they don't want their head coach going into. These are not kids. These guys are 30 years old, 27 years old. I kept demanding Rick Tocchet to be that other voice in the room. Kept saying it. And I'm not saying NGK is right that Rick Tocchet is too soft, but my advice to him moving forward as a head coach, to a Jack Adams winner, but also a guy that has only coached like 1 or 2 successful seasons in his like 7 or 8 to 9 years of coaching. It's like, dude, get in there and be a better leader and be a bigger voice in the room. And look at a guy like John Cooper. I guarantee he's that dog. That type of leader. He just knows what to say. And players don't like their coach always ramming shit down their throat. Or they don't like all that. No, they don't want that all the time, unless you're saying all the right things. So be better at saying what you got to say. And say, yeah, Quinn Hughes, to keep things short, because I got to get out of here. Quinn Hughes needed Rick Tocchet to be a better leader. Okay, I got to get out of here, though. Trevor, you take it away.
Yeah.
I got to go.
I'll wrap this up. Bye. I think the point I wanted to make there, when you talk about John Cooper and his leadership, you saw the clip from, the game before Canada and U.S. at the Four Nations, right, where he is, motivating the guys. Like, I had chills up my spine listening to John Cooper. And, I think Rick Tocchet, like many coaches in the NHL nowadays, they are leaning too much into the players. And I do think with Manny Malhotra as well, and I'm tying them two together here. Like, Manny Malhotra says he wants to be blunt with his players. You need that in today's NHL. I do think we've gotten to a landscape where, coaches probably are a bit too soft on their players. And the pendulum might start swinging back the other way, perhaps with a guy like Manny Malhotra, who I'm warming up more so to now as the next head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, because you need to motivate your guys as well. And when I think about the Tampa Bay Lightning, even when they won that first Stanley Cup, I know it was in the bubble in 2020, they were missing Steven Stamkos, right? They were missing the alpha dog in that dressing room. You got Nikita Kucherov, a pretty quiet guy. Victor Hedman's in there, of course. Braden Point, a pretty young guy at that point in his career. But you needed a guy like John Cooper, in my opinion, to lead that team, to be a voice in that dressing room, to motivate the guys to the next level. I mean, look, the guy's got a law degree. Maybe he's in a different level in terms of motivation. But when I think about a guy like Manny Malhotra too, he really was a coach as a player towards the end of his career as well. Just one of the smartest minds in the game. So, man, oh man, I'm feeling Manny Malhotra a bit more as the next head coach of your Vancouver Canucks. Moving forward, all right, let's wrap up here on Locked On Canucks after we get to a couple comments here on Locked On Canucks. Man, oh man, some hilarious comments about who should be the owners of the Canucks. Was it Bing Tang Warrior said someone like Elon Musk and Justin Bieber should be the next owners of the Vancouver Canucks. Lane Stanley saying Don Taylor for GM of the Vancouver Canucks. Hang G in the comments saying Kyle Bowen for president. Trevor Beggs for GM. Because, man, oh man, Kyle Bowen. He is the guy in charge of Locked On Canucks. So, of course, he's the president of the Vancouver Canucks. I do want to show this comment from Andrew because I think we're dreaming about 2011 a bit in this city too. And I think, was it Rick Tocchet or was it John Tortorella said people need to get over 2011. We're not over 2011 here. But of course, Alex Burrows had some experience as an assistant coach at the NHL level with the Montreal Canadiens. You got Henrik and Daniel Sedin in the organization, and then Manny Malhotra potentially is the next head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Man, oh man, I'm not sure if that would be a PR win for this team. It's hard to see it not being a PR win for this team if Manny and Alex took over. But look, I will say that if Manny Malhotra does take over as next head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, if it's not John Cooper coming to town, of course, the odds are low. There's got to be an experienced assistant on that bench. And this is not a sexy name, but a guy like Gary Agnew, who worked for Rutherford and the Pittsburgh Penguins for a couple of years before Mike Sullivan came into the fold. He has been an assistant coach down with Utica and Abbotsford since leaving Pittsburgh, I believe, in 2016 or 2017. So that is a guy who's been around hockey for a long time, coached for about 3 decades now. He could even be the guy to help Manny Malhotra at the next level here because obviously it has been working down there so far this season. So maybe not the sexiest potential assistant coach. I know I mentioned a guy like Gerard Gallant as a potential experienced assistant coach to help out Manny Malhotra. But man, oh man, Manny Malhotra and Alex Burrows behind the bench for the Vancouver Canucks. It's hard to see that not being a win as we go here moving forward. All right, let's wrap up here on Locked On Canucks. We appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in. We did have one segment that we'll table maybe for tomorrow, and it's looking at Jim Rutherford's homies, okay? There's a few guys, obviously a guy like Rutherford's been around the game for a long time. What Rutherford connections could potentially be the next head coach of the Vancouver Canucks? I'm not going to lie. I'm not into it as much as John Cooper or Manny Malhotra, but there's about a half dozen names that stand out. It's guys with Rutherford connections who could be involved with the next regime of the Vancouver Canucks. And a quick shout out to Ashley Neil Lau in the comments saying, he's saying, let's go Oilers. We will beat the Kings tonight. On behalf of Canucks Nation, go Kings, go. Cozy, baby. Going to get the winner tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. Not going to cheer for the Kings often, but I'm cheering for them tonight and in Game 7 as well. But on this, of course, you're listening to Locked On Canucks. Canucks first, baby. We bleed the blue and green through the good times and the bad times. Got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy was Kyle Bowen. We appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.